ready? Are you ready? Nah, I'm just joking. I'm here by myself. All right, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Hey Mark, the podcast where I, Mark, get to have open and authentic conversations about things like mental health and self-development. And the reason I'm out here having these types of conversations, the reason I think it's important to chat about these things is because I want to try and help alleviate some of the suffering that's happening out there in silence. For those of you that kind of feel like, man, nobody really knows what I'm going through right now or what I'm thinking about, or nobody's really had these dark thoughts before, or no one holds these opinions, whoever you are out there, no matter what it is you're going through, you are not alone, and life can and will get better for you. And you're my type of people. You're the type of people I want to connect with because I've been there before, and fuck, I'm still there all the time. And so, yeah, I just think that's great. And, sometimes, a lot of the topics that I talk about on my podcast are situations that, are maybe relevant to my friend group or the support group that I started on. It's on Telegram now. It was started on WhatsApp. Or maybe some things that are going on in my family. These are the things that I typically talk about on the podcast here. And a lot of the times it comes down to a lot of things that, obviously I talk about and think about are mental health related. And so a lot of people that are close to me in my life come and ask me certain questions about, maybe how they should help their friend or how they can help themselves. And, I love it. I think that's exactly what I'm trying to encourage, is to start these types of conversations. And so this week, one of the common themes in my life was basically the topic that I'm going to talk about today. And I think I'm going to come at it or approach this from a different standpoint that I normally come from. But I think that this is kind of the way that I've been trying to, teach myself to think or, yeah. So, a lot of the times, and this is myself included, a lot of the times we find ourselves kind of venting or complaining or, just kind of talking about, like I said, the things that we go through, right? And if you're anything like me, when you hear one of your friends, your family members, your loved ones, really, you hear anybody that's kind of typically complaining about a problem. If you're anything like me, you're quick to kind of offer your solution. Right? Because you hear, oh, someone has a problem. I want to fucking solve that for them. So you offer your solution. But a lot of the times when you start to try and offer solutions or perspectives or whatever you think might help that person, a lot of the times you notice, hey, this person's getting frustrated or they're getting defensive or they're explaining, hey, maybe you don't understand what I'm going through, or, maybe they're feeling like, yeah, that might work for you, or that might work for this person, but maybe not for me because you don't know about these circumstances, right? It gets kind of like this weird conversation where you're like, look, man, I'm just trying to fucking help. And then you're like, then you get in this certain point of view where you're like, man, every time I try and help someone, they just kind of get mad at me. And then you're kind of like, well, obviously this person doesn't want to heal. I don't know if you guys have kind of, or like, you start to maybe think, maybe this person just doesn't want to get better. Maybe they're just comfortable staying where they're at and they just want to complain. And it's easy to slip into that mind state. And I'm going to explain, obviously, why we think that way, but I'm also going to try and explain, the dangers of that thought process and, how I think we can deal with that situation better. So obviously, like when you have someone in your life that's consistently dealing with the same type of problems over and over again, you hear them complain about it over and over again, no matter what it could be, whether it's, I don't know, maybe something in their relationship, something in their job, something in their personal life, something in their, it could be literally anything. It could be something with their physical health. It could be something with their mental health. It could be something in terms of addiction. It could be literally anything or everything, whatever, right? And so we hear these people kind of complaining about the same thing over and over and over and over again. And it kind of does get to that point where you're like, all right, bro, like, do you even want to get fucking better? And sometimes, like, and I kind of talked about this recently, but like sometimes, like Ohm and I talked about this recently when I interviewed him, and we talked about this on my in my group recently with the mental health group that I'm running. Sometimes it can feel like we're just kind of like, it's like the situation where it's like you bring the horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. No matter how frustrated you get, no matter how much you're kind of stuffing the straw in the horse's mouth and you're like, drink, man, please just drink. Sometimes we don't think about the fact that maybe that horse isn't hungry, or maybe that horse isn't thirsty, and maybe that horse needs food and not water. And sometimes the horse doesn't even know what they need. And so I think a lot of the times we kind of frustrate ourselves as the helper by assuming we even know what they're going through, or like assuming that they even know what they're going through, because you only know as much as they've told you about. And sometimes we don't even know what's going on in our lives. Sometimes we don't even know where we are. Like obviously, like I'm not just talking about physically, but I mean like in life. We don't know where we are in life. We don't know, are we moving forward? Are we moving backward? Are we staying the same the whole time? Sometimes we just need to check our own bearings, and that's what I've been trying to talk about recently, but I digress. I think, what was I trying to say? I just think that, sometimes we get frustrated hearing people talk about these things, inventing, and we overexert ourselves trying to force solutions that maybe the other person isn't ready for, or maybe it's not the right solution because we don't even have the full story yet. Maybe they're still trying to process it. And so I think a lot of the times, and this is kind of something that I'm kind of, trying to learn for myself, or I'm trying to figure out, is like maybe asking like, hey, are you looking for my opinion? Would you like my opinion? Would you like maybe my perspective on what a solution could be? Or you just want to chat and you want to figure this out? And that's kind of like a good question for you to kind of both understand where you're at, because sometimes maybe they're like, hey, you know what, I'm not looking for another opinion, and I'm going to get to that, but that way you're not exhausting yourself trying to force solutions on people that maybe don't want that solution or whatever it could be, right? And the other, like, sometimes it's just kind of like, if you have these types of people, like maybe like they're like just being like energy vampires, just sucking all your energy out. Sometimes it is appropriate to try and distance yourself, but I think that there's an appropriate way to go about that, and I think that there's an inappropriate way to go about that. I don't think that, and this is coming from the standpoint that maybe you care about this person and you want them to get better, or, you want what's best for them. Maybe you have to have a conversation with them and say like, hey, you know what, like this type of energy you're bringing around, this types of conversations you're bringing around, it's kind of, it's toxic for me, or it's triggering for me, or whatever it could be. You don't just kind of up and leave and hope the problem goes away, because that's kind of the same thing that they're doing, right? Like kind of like not really getting to the problem, whether it's intentional or not. And so I think it's important to kind of, if you're going to distance yourself from these types of people, then, I mean, protect your energy, do what you got to do. Like Wu-Tang said, protect your neck. But, just have that conversation and just kind of do both them and yourself a service, and just say like, hey, this is an issue, this is a problem, I think we should address it, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z moving forward. Is there anything I can do to support you? Wish you the best, that kind of thing. That's like if you're going to create distance. That's kind of my perspective or advice or what have you. And so if you are going to be patient, if you are going to be empathetic, and you are going to be kind of continuing to be put yourself in this person's life, it's not somebody that you want to cut out or anything like that, then you kind of have to think about, what does this person actually need? If there's somebody that's always kind of talking about the same kind of problems, or talking about the same kind of issues that they're having in their life, or it's a repeating circumstance, or maybe they just let everything in life get them down, I think it's important to ask them the same question that we were talking about earlier. Like, hey, would you like my opinion? Would you like my perspective? Would you like maybe a new idea of what a solution could be? You know, sometimes people are going to say, yeah, that'd be awesome, man. Let me know what you think. But sometimes I think that sometimes we are just trying to verbalize what we're going through. And I think that that's okay. I think that we forget sometimes that, you know, maybe by venting, we're not looking for someone to give us a solution. We're not looking for someone to give us, you know, their perspective or their opinion. I think that sometimes by venting, you know, it kind of gives us an idea to just verbalize what we are going through or the thoughts that are going on in our heads. And when we get to say them out loud, you know, you hear yourself when you're talking. That's exactly what this podcast is for me, right? Like I can listen back to my own thoughts and I can kind of think like, hey, you know what? There's a little bit of legitimacy behind this and maybe I should pursue that thought a little bit more. And sometimes you hear yourself and you think, man, I just sound like an idiot right now. And I think that just hearing ourselves talk can put our own thoughts into perspectives differently. And that's not even to mention the fact that while you are kind of, if I was in a situation right now where I'm sitting down with a loved one or a friend or whatever, and I'm kind of venting to them, you know, I could kind of see their reaction. I could see the look on their face as I speak. And I could think, oh, why did he react that way? You know, is this kind of like a inconsistent thought pattern? Maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. Maybe I'm not seeing the whole picture. Or maybe I have to think about this for a little bit longer. I think that there's something powerful behind the idea of us verbalizing our ideas. And, you know, obviously some of the benefits, you could reap the same benefits from just journaling all the time and kind of recording what you're going through. But for a lot of people, that's not a daily habit. And I wish it was. For me, I try and make it a daily habit. And I also have this opportunity to kind of talk into my phone and then listen back to it after. So I feel like for me, it's just come to my attention that that's a great way to kind of go through what you're going through, like kind of process the information as it comes through, as opposed to just kind of like, you know, having it all come at you all the time. And then we just don't know really how to process that. And I think that that makes sense a lot of the time because for years I was kind of frustrated with my friends or family members that I heard kind of complaining about similar problems all the time in their lives. I'm like, man, haven't you dealt with this before? Or like, I see the solution so easy. And I think that, well, it's obviously funny because we always have solutions for other people's problems, but we can't fucking solve our own. But it's like, you know, for myself, I was always so quick to kind of offer that advice or those opinions. And I guess it's easy to forget that sometimes people are just trying to process what they're going through. And, you know, there's that famous quote, you know, you're blessed with 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you talk. And for me, you know, I'm talking quite a bit, so maybe that's a reminder that I should listen like twice as much. And I already talk twice as much as the average person, so I think that means I gotta listen like, 4 times? 4 times more. So that's a funny realization. Anyways, that's pretty much it. You know, I think that kind of covers everything I was thinking about recently. So yeah, if you've vented to me in the past or you've kind of chatted with me about some of the issues that you're going through and I seemed like kind of unempathetic or unsupportive because I just kind of offered what I thought was a quick solution. I apologize for that. Yeah, I think that we can kind of always do better. And I think that, you know, it's important to acknowledge these things because I just think obviously it leads to a lot less frustration for everybody else if we could kind of operate this way. But that's all I got going on for today. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope if it's the morning time, I hope you have a great day. If it's the evening time, I hope you had a good day. And if you didn't, well, fuck, tomorrow's going to be a new one. So take some time to reflect about, you know, some of the people in your life and if you've really been there for them. And if you haven't, then step up to the fucking plate now. You know, if you're going to pride yourself on being somebody that's, you know, empathetic or sympathetic or patient or supportive, then do your best to do better at that. because, you know, there's that famous like kind of anecdote or whatever, like there's no such thing as a bad student, just a bad teacher. And I think that as, as people that view themselves as leaders or as mentors, or, you're going to be supportive of other people, I think it's important to remember that, sometimes you got to meet someone where they're at. And you got to kind of understand that everyone has their own kind of healing process. And everyone's going to go about it differently. And that's okay. Not everybody has to learn all the same things at the same pace, at the same speed, in the same order that you did. And if you really are a good leader or a good mentor, you'll be able to connect with somebody that, maybe doesn't even have hope for themselves. Because that's where I was at like years ago. And that's what motivated me to even start this movement, is to try and give somebody hope that doesn't even have fucking hope for themselves. So if that's you, if you're out there and you're kind of fucking, if you feel like you're fucked, then just understand that, I've been there before. And sometimes I still feel like that sometimes, to this day. And just understand that you're not alone. There's plenty of other people that feel just as fucked as you do. And, it's going to get fucking better. You just got to keep fucking pushing. And it might not fucking seem like it. It might feel like, nobody's fucking listening to you, or nobody understands you, or nobody ever will, or that nobody gives a fuck. And sometimes it's the truth. Sometimes you're surrounded by people that just don't give a fuck. But that doesn't have to be forever. And it doesn't have to end now. Your story does not have to end now. If you keep pushing and you keep being your authentic self, the right people will surround you. And life will get fucking better. And so that's how we're going to end it out today. That's a beautiful way to fucking... there's not much else I can say. So if you want to join a group, if you want to connect with the people that kind of have these conversations, then join the Telegram group. Reach out to me on social media. My Instagram will be at the bottom of the screen down here for those of you watching this video. For those of you listening to the podcast version, it'll be in the show notes wherever you are listening to this. But it's at Mark D. Henriksen. That's all I got for you guys. If you're listening to the podcast, rate this shit 5 stars. Leave a little review. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, support your boy. Spread the message. If you... what did I used to say? What did I say? Share the show, help it grow. That's it. Share the show, help it grow. All right, this is getting awkward. Thank you so much. Much love and peace out, motherfuckers.